Our essential question
is, what is
the creation of our nation?
Hello, futurist. Hello, future me. We will be talking about the importance of how our nation started and how the presidents were important of the beginning of the United States.
And go on, Jason, there's more.
Well, we'll also go over the key terms and the important standards. They will all relate to the creation of the nation.
And
the first 6 presidents. Gosh, is that good enough?
yes.
Let's
The
get
first 4 presidents were Washington, Adams, Jefferson, and Madison.
Hey Danielle, guess what? Chicken buggy.
What, Mecca?
I actually listened in class today.
Really? What did you learn?
I learned that the first 4 presidents were George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison. They were all presidents between 1789 and 1817. George Washington was the first president to take oath as a U.S. president. He was an intelligent, very nice man. He got every single vote in the Electoral College twice. And Washington helped build Washington, D.C., once known as Foggy Bottom.
What else? That can't be it.
George Washington helped lay out the streets in the city of, which is now Washington, D.C. The federal system passed the Judiciary Act of 1789, which created 3 levels of federal court and the relationships between state courts.
Can I add on?
Sure.
Well, Washington hired Alexander Hamilton as Secretary of Treasury. During this time, it was hard to pay off things like national debt. In 1789, the French Revolution broke out. Washington had to choose to take European, but the Neutrality Proclamation says that the United World said they would not take the side with Europeans.
I gotta see you later. My mom just called.
Hey Rebecca, I saw you paying attention in class today.
Yeah, that's the first.
So I'm gonna put you up to the test.
Okay.
What was the Whiskey Rebellion?
The Whiskey Rebellion was a tax that was part of Hamilton's plan to raise money to help pay the federal debt. The Whiskey Rebellion also ended without a fight.
Great job. Next question. Who was John Adams, and what were some of the things that happened during his time?
Well, John Adams was elected in 1796. He ran against not just himself, but others. John Adams was an insecure and wonderful human being. During his term, the XYZ affair arose. It was a French demand for the bribe that came to be called outrage the American public. He got a Navy fleet of more than 30 ships. Then he asked for the military support. He didn't want to go to war with France, and they didn't declare the war, so they just reopened peace with France.
Okay. What was the Alien and Sedation Act?
The Alien Sedation Act was in 1798, which was the Federal Control Congress passed by the 4 laws. These laws said that it would protect the United States, but the Federalists intended to crush opposition to the war. Then there was the Kentucky and Virginia resolutions. There were documents that argued that Alien Sedation Acts were unconstitutional.
Great. Tell me a little bit about the election between Jefferson and Adams.
John Adams ran against the Democratic Republicans Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr. When the election results came in, Jefferson and Burr both had, when the results came in, Jefferson and Burr both had 73 and Adams had 65. So the Democratic Republicans had won the election. There was a tie between Jefferson and Burr. The House bringing the Electoral College in After days went by, the vote was called. It ended in a tie. Jefferson finally won the 36th vote by making him the third president of the United States. He wanted to reduce the power of the government. So the Marion Burr versus Madison was a case that helped establish the Supreme Court power to check the power of the other branches of government.
What was the Louisiana Purchase and the Lewis and Clark expedition?
The Louisiana Purchase roughly doubled the size of the United States of America with the $15 million purchase. In May 1804, the Lewis and Clark expedition began its long journey to explore the Louisiana Purchase. The president was forcing people to serve in the Army or Navy because sailors ran away from the British Navy.
Great job.
Thanks.
Hey, Mecca! Hey! Whoa, was that a cartwheel?
Dad, what's outside? Oh, okay. More for me.
So, do you remember those 3 speeches we learned about when we were kids?
No, but you can tell me about them.
Well, there was the George Washington's farewell address, Jefferson's 1801 inaugural address, and then the 4th of July 1821 address by John Quincy Adams.
Kind of remember. Keep going.
Okay, so we'll start with George Washington's farewell address. He wrote this speech at the end of his 2 terms, and he told us about the domestic affairs threatening the stability of of the Republic policy significance, I guess. And so he also reminded us about their true values, and this speech was held on February 22nd, 1862.
Right. And Jefferson's 1801 inaugural address was also spoken before his 2 terms, right?
Yes! He announced his presidency and his vision for the future. He also explained his past difficulties and how he isn't going to make the mistakes again.
Okay, and John Quincy Adams for the July 1821 inaugural address was him telling us about how free we are and how we're independent people. It's telling about mankind and human nature is free. Not just men, right? But women and children as well.
Exactly! I don't even have to explain it. You got it, girl.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Mecca.
Hey,
So, can I have?
sure. Get your fries at Walmart McDonald's.
So, you remember, do you know who Washington, Irving, and Jem Cooper are?
No, but did we learn that in 8th grade?
Yeah. Do you want to learn more?
Sure.
Okay. Well, they were both authors in the 1800s. They wrote short stories about traditions and literature in that era. Washington Irving wrote many stories, including a biography of George Washington, our first president of the U.S. Something they had in common, well, Irving and Cooper, of course, they wrote many of their stories while they were aboard at sea.
Interesting.
And on top of that, Cooper was a part of the U.S. Navy. That inspired some of his work. Their work gave us 20th century people an idea of how traditions, literature, and music were in the 1800s.
Oh, I get it now.
Bye. Bye.
Hey Danielle,
Hey, Josiah.
I'm so ready for that history test on Saturday, 8.51 tomorrow.
You are so lucky. I don't even know what president lived during that time period.
Since I feel bad for you, I'm gonna give you some key information that'll surely give you an A on the test that Miss Grover secretly told me.
Tell me.
Okay, you got it. The president that was president during that time period was James Madison. The major event that happened in this time period is called the War of 1812. The War of 1812 was a 2-year war and also called the Forgotten War because everything was the same after that. It was ended in Ghent because there was a treaty. What the War of 1812 did for us was it brought nationalism to America. Causes of the war included British attempts to restrict U.S. trade, the Royal Navy's impressment of American seamen, and America's desire to expand its territory.
That kind of sounds familiar.
The Europeans thought that we would fail the War of 1812 because it was the United States' second war of independence. Or were they wrong?
Thank you so much, Josiah. I'm pretty sure I will get an A on this test.
You're welcome. Hey Mecca, you want me to tell you some important information on Standard 8.52 without using a textbook?
No.
I'll tell you anyways.
Here we go.
The major event that happened during this time period was the Monroe Doctrine, which was passed by President James Monroe. Some other events that happened during James Monroe's time period was the Military Establishment Act. This act really helped our Army out. It reduced Army's manpower to 40% and it eliminated some men to 6,126 men. James Monroe was the 5th President of the United States of America. He was, for some time, was under Thomas Jefferson, who was also the President of the United States. Lastly, James Monroe also held many positions in our country. He was once the Secretary of War, Secretary of Treasury, and also served in the Constitutional Congress. How did I do?
You did awesome. Good job.
Oh, why, thank you.
Hey Danielle, you want to make some cash? Or no?
How much?
$5 each correct answer.
Heck yeah.
Okay, here's the first question. Who established the Military Establishment Act?
James Monroe, maybe. I think.
Okay, I'll you $5. Okay, here's another one. What is the Embargo Act?
I have no clue. A type of food Jefferson liked?
No, it's the practice of impressment or removing seamen from the U.S. merchant vessels and forcing them to serve the British. In 1809, the U.S. Congress repealed. This next one is going to be hard, so it'll be $300.
Give it to me.
Who was Washington Irving's and James Cooper?
Yo, mama.
I'm telling her you said that. And no, they were writers in 1700 and 1800s. They wrote short stories about traditions and literature.
.52 without using a textbook. I'll just tell you.
Go again.
Hey Mecca, do you want 152 without using a textbook? I'll tell you anyways.
Here we go.
Oh, last time you said.
What?
Robbie, you forgot questions and you forgot to